Steven, I like to think that I'm not naive and I know what's going on. But I gotta say, my world was rocked today. Are you telling me that Sandra Bullock didn't teach Michael Orr to play left tackle in real life?
You just have to reread one of your tweets as a joke?
It's the only thing I could come up with before the show started.
Yeah, I got a couple of them in just your headlines, man, obviously coming up. But yeah, man, that story wrote itself, didn't it?
It's sad because I've been making that joke for years.
Right.
Like the scene where Michael Orr, I never had this before, and they're like, "What? A room to yourself? A bed?"
Yeah.
And the joke would always be, obviously, "Oh, you think you're staying here? Oh, God, no, no." Which in reality, I guess, is what happened. So, just your opinion, man. Stephen Lane for Derek Papa. If you're not familiar with what's going on with The Blind Side, a movie that came out, what, 15, 16 years ago?
Yeah.
Apparently, they never really wanted him to be a part of the family, or legally, he's not a part of their family, Michael Orr. And they took all the money from the movie that was made.
This is correct. I have it in just your headlines, man, coming up.
Oh, sorry. Am I should we just get to it then?
We should, if you want to, because honestly, everything we're probably going to talk about is already in the just your headlines, man. So we might as well just get it out the way.
All right. And what's going on, everybody? We'll shout out to the Ernie's joining us, Skills Report, AJ Cruz. That's about everybody.
All Skills. Right. Skills, the kicker guy who made the call to 95.7 about the kicker. Vontae's been giving him credit like all morning.
About Jake Moody?
Yeah. About wondering about Robbie Gould and Jake Moody.
Those Moody Blues, baby. He looking like who's my guy? Roberto Aguero.
Yeah.
Not good.
That didn't work out well.
Anyway, Steven,
sorry, Skills.
Get to your headlines.
All right. Well, yeah, we will start off with the whole Michael Orr situation. Main subject of The Blind Side alleged that the parents, Leanne and Sean Toohey, didn't actually adopt him, rather became his conservator so they could use his name to make money without his knowledge. And to that, Leanne Toohey responded by saying, "Hey, crotch mouth, zip it or I'm going to come zip it for you."
Yes, you're telling me that she didn't stand up to a couple of gangbangers in the hood? All that stuff is made up?
She said in the movie that she's a member of the NRA. I didn't know that stood for not really adopted.
Not bad.
Oh, man, just a crazy story. All right, number 2, James Harden responded to a question about the 76ers trade talks in an Adidas promotional event in China. He called owner Daryl Morey a liar and that he'll never play for an organization he's a part of. If I could have a guy pay me over $200 million while I show zero remorse for anything, show up overweight and complain the whole time without even winning a championship, then call said guy a liar and still will probably get a contract when I'm past my prime, boy, do I want to be James Harden when I grow up.
Over under, it appears that James Harden is 30.5 pounds heavier by the time he gets to 76er training camp.
Was that this year or is that on average?
Just this year.
Just this year? Okay. I thought that would have been like...
Are we going full fat bastard suit? Like, is he still pulling out all the same tactics that he used with the Rockets? This is a joke.
We're going to... you know what we're going to do? We're going to create a new analytic. We're going to bring analytics to the NBA. We're going to call it the EWA, the expected weight average of James Harden every single trading camp. You know what it's going to be? Plus 30.
Yep.
On average, it feels like every single camp he does that. And then finally, Zeke Elliott signed a 1-year deal with the Pats. Dalvin Cook signed a 1-year deal with the New York Jets. Finally, Derek's super exciting summer of waiting for free agents to sign has reached its apex. Congrats, Derek.
It's been a long summer. Thank God. Now I don't have to pay attention to Dove Kleiman and fucking NFL notifications and NFL rumors and all these dumb counts. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to, but you know what? It's something you wanted to do, and that's commendable, Derek, because you're keeping up.
Is it though?
Yes, very commendable.
I'm feeling a lot more judgment than admiration.
No, you're getting total admiration on my end. I don't know what you've been reading into these past few weeks on the podcast, or rather couple of months since you've started paying attention to DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook every day.
My sanity is finally back. And we'll get to that because perfectly timed. We'll do a little deep dive today in the AFC East. And two teams picked up big-time running backs today. Or once upon a time they were. But before we get to all that, should we get to the blindside story? I want to expand upon that just a little. Or should we get to the Raiders and Niners already?
No, we can get to the blindside one. That's kind of newer from what happened today. 49ers and Raiders can wait a little bit.
Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I always go back to when that movie came out. It was when Michael Orr was a rookie with the Baltimore Ravens. And I saw it with my dad in the theater. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was a dumb movie. Because at least have some, like, a lot of people say, like, Winning Time takes a lot of liberties. That movie. Like, I'll never forget the Baltimore Ravens being on Sunday Night Football and Chris Collinsworth going, now here's a guy in Michael Orr, big movie star. And I asked him, what do you think about the movie? And he's like, yeah, they made me out to be a total idiot.
Yeah.
Like my mom's teaching me how to play left tackle. Like I knew how to play football. I thought the movie was really demeaning, actually. And there's actually even a scene in the movie where a worker at Ole Miss says to Michael Orr, don't you think this is kind of weird? You know, this white family adopting you, thinking that they're gonna get a big NFL star. And he's like, no, they're good people. They're good people. Turns out they're a-holes. They're just using him for whatever ride they could get. They cut him out of the money that was coming from the movie, and good for Michael Orr for doing this.
Maybe the dad or the husband foreshadowed his Taco Bell's going low on revenue in the upcoming years, so they had to figure out a way to generate.
You're talking about Tim McGraw.
I'm talking about Tim McGraw. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Tim McGraw and Sandra Bullock. It's not their real name. That's not. Don't you dare lie to me. It's not their real names. It's Tim McGraw and Sandra Bullock. That's the adoptive parents. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, it's insane. I among everything I expected to read today, I don't know. I was looking through maybe something on I don't know, Stanford and Cal, if anything's progressing there, but apparently we'll have to wait for tomorrow until Florida State and Clemson actually make a decision. Or say, I don't know, maybe the Giants call up Kyle Harrison. It looks like he's back in AAA. I don't know what they're doing right now. Stuff like that. Little things. Then Michael Orr, all of this was a lie. It is kind of weird how he didn't realize they were. I mean, it's not his fault. I don't blame him. But it also took a really long time for him to learn that they were under a conservatorship. Like I haven't heard of Michael Orr in a while, so he's had some time.
Yeah, I mean, he's been out of the NFL for a little bit of time. I remember last team he played for was the Carolina Panthers. I want to say.
Was it? Yes, that sounds right.
So what does that mean necessarily? So he is not considered one of their children.
Yes, exactly. So he doesn't get any of the money. He doesn't get a cut of anything that they make.
God. Now you got
and they continue to use his name for everything.
Now you probably got to wow. Now we know Navarro Bowman was there. No, sorry, not Navarro Bowman. Patrick Willis was in a very similar situation. So I'm sure, a lot of NFL players that had lives like that are probably wondering now, do I see the benefits of that?
Right.
I mean, Colin Kaepernick had the same situation, didn't he?
Yeah. Similar situation. So I'm sure a lot of the NFL, maybe those players are wondering, like, I mean, maybe I should do some digging into these papers here that I got, because I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to exploit who I am.
Yeah, definitely. It makes me
reading through the thing too. It made it seem like they were like the only family to actually learn that he was homeless and living through what he was living through. But apparently he was staying over at friends' houses. He was doing different things like that. So it just made it, I mean, I'm not going to say it made it look worse, because it's an awful situation that he grew up in, but it also fabricated a lot of things that really hurt him more than anything.
Yeah, it's a crazy story and furthers my thinking that that movie was dumb. But Jacob Violante, our good friend, was filling in today for Tolbert at Copes on the board. He comes in, he goes, so since it's all fake, should Sandra Bullock have to get back her Oscar like Reggie Bush had to get back his Heisman?
I was literally just going to ask that. Do they make her return it?
Well,
Hey,
like
the character you played was a liar. Take it all back.
this isn't as big a shock as Catch Me If You Can being all bullshit.
Well, that guy lied for a living. So are you really that shocked?
Not shocked, but I'm not shocked about this either, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's just crushing when movies that you grew up with lie to you.
Well, this would have made it a lot. This would have made a lot better of a movie. They ended it way too soon.
Oh, I'm waiting for the sequel.
I know, right? What do we call it? Blindside 2, Blindsided.
Yes.
Something to that nature. That's pretty easy. That's an easy title.
Works.
I guess it works though.
Anyway, Raiders Niners playing in preseason. Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline, but his first game action as a Raider against his former team. And interesting game. Interesting game. Probably the most I've watched in a preseason game in quite some time, just because of the implications with the two quarterbacks. Not the starting quarterback of Brock Purdy, which. So Matt Mayoka went on with Rich Eisen today. Did you see this interview at all, Steven?
No, I didn't.
So national media is running with the whole Niner quarterback debate, controversy, if you will. And you and I have talked about this for pretty much the whole offseason, that the starter's Brock. And Kyle even said that the first day of training camp. It's funny to me when the national media it doesn't know the things that the local media knows. And they're just so oblivious to what the main thing is. Rich Eisen actually says to Matt Mayoka during the interview today, so who's the quarterback going to be? Is it Brock? Is it Trey? Is it Sam? And Matt cuts him off and goes, it's Brock. It's been Brock. So then Matt Mayoka comes on with us today. And I talked to Matt, and I'm like, is it crazy to you that the national media doesn't realize who's the starting quarterback yet? And he's like, it's crazy. Like, I'm reading all these PFF articles, and all these people are like, who's going to be the starting quarterback? And no one has taken the time to look at my work or any of the other Niner writers' work and realize, or even listen to sound bites from Kyle Shanahan, that the fucking quarterback has already been decided. It's Brock. The only thing that people are up in arms about is the fact that Trey Lance is not the starting quarterback because of the capital that was moved to get him, and he doesn't look good. And that was the takeaway from the game yesterday.
Okay, well, hang on. Devil's advocate, though. Just to give the national media a little bit of credit.
Don't tell me that movie's fake.
No. But just to play devil, because I do agree with you that, do your research if you're going to talk about it. But I could also make the argument that their national audience doesn't understand any of this stuff and doesn't know any of this stuff. So, like, if instantly they start going into questioning about, I don't know, Trey Lance and what it's like for the backup spot. People don't know that Purdy is the starter. Like, so I think it's also pandering to their audience a little bit, it's not just them, but well,
believe me, I know a lot of places are pandering to the audience about this QB situation.
For sure. But for example, the Adam Schefter thing with Nick Bosa basically said that the Niners can rescind any of it because of the, they can waive any of the fees that if he misses training camp because he's still on a rookie contract. Well, John Lynch said it a month prior.
Yeah.
So that was not news. And somehow Schefter got 1,000 retweets and a bunch of likes on it because Nick Bosa is the biggest story out of training camp so far, besides the whole quarterback thing. So I think that's more of an indictment on the national audience rather than the actual media.
I guess that's fair, but also, I don't know. I think this whole story has been blown out of proportion, but I think the main takeaway from today is that everyone's looking at Trey Lance and being like,
for sure,
he's not the guy.
For sure.
Clear. So just from the game itself, the stat line is extremely deceiving. Trey Lance was 10 of 15 for 112 yards for 1 touchdown.
Right.
But he was sacked how many times? 4?
Yeah.
And let's be completely honest. That touchdown pass, we should call it a touchdown catch. Trey Lance forcing that ball, it should have been picked off by whoever on the Raiders, and it was just deflected, and it was the luckiest touchdown that you'll have of your career for Ross Dwelly. It was terrible. It was a terrible throw. And I'm not saying that Trey Lance played awful. I think that he was fine. He made an improvisational throw later on, made a good third down throw to Chris Conley. But the overall take away from the game is that Trey Lance is just not ready to play, and he's just not comfortable in this offense. And I don't know if he's ever going to be, because he's not given the opportunity to really. Well, he's. I should say he was given the opportunity last year, but then he got hurt, so he's not going to be given the time because this team is ready to roll. And I think their thought process of having a rookie quarterback has backfired on them, because they just can't wait for this guy to get ready. It's
Right.
different than the Chiefs. This team's ready to go win a Super Bowl, and he's going to hold them back. And you have Sam Darnold, who, in the limited action that he had yesterday in the second half, he wasn't amazing. There was a turnover, not his fault, and a turnover on downs, but that throw he had on 2nd and 14 to Rivers, I want to say, the rookie from Michigan, the long 37-yard completion,
Yeah.
and a few other passes that he had. Sam Darnold looks 10 times more comfortable in this offense than Trey Lance does.
He got the ball out quick. Like, I think that's why they like Jimmy Garoppolo so much. I don't care what anyone says. They liked him because he could run the offense, just couldn't do anything extra. That's why they love Brock Purdy too. It's because they get the ball out quick. Like, just watch any of 8 of Darnold's throws. Ted Nguyen posted it. He just posted his.
That's my guy. Was on with us today too.
Nice. He posted like a minute-long thing, a montage of Darnold's throws, and it's just night and day. Because, like, Lance I know that the offensive line didn't do him any favors.
No, he did not.
But the thing with Lance is, like, the throws that he was making, they should be the throws that he makes. Like, the ones that I'm kind of more focused on, like, those incompletions to Ross Dwelly were not great on 3rd down. Like, you can keep the drive alive even after you've been sacked, even though all odds are against you. But he didn't show anything like that's extraordinary to me. You know, like, he's got talent, there's no doubt. But after seeing everything from training camp, like, everything was moved up a level, like his health at a place it's never been since he started his career. He looks in shape. He looks quick, all these different things. I didn't really see much of that on Sunday. And if he's going to be like anything, you know, originally it was the thought that maybe the 49ers found their next, I don't know, Cam Newton, maybe found their next Patrick Mahomes type of guy. But instead, it seems like they found a guy with potential, but a guy who's clearly still a year or two away from even like being close to whatever they expected from the top. So I wasn't impressed with, I don't know how anyone can be really with what happened yesterday. Sure, he made a couple of nice plays, anticipatory throws, but then look on the other side, Aiden O'Connell did that same thing. And you're going against a 2nd string Raiders defense. Okay. The 1st string's not good, or at least it's not meant to be on paper. Things are kind of looking up for them maybe, but you're going up against a 2nd string Raiders defense, and the offensive line again didn't do him any favors. I know that, but he just didn't look comfortable, man. Not at all.
No, we did not. And this is where I think you can make the comparisons to the other highly drafted players from the other 2 teams of the Bay Area, with the Warriors and James Wiseman, who decided to cut ties and send him to Detroit, and the Giants with Joey Bart. The reality is Patrick Bailey's a better catcher than Joey Bart. And it's kind of the same deal with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Patrick Bailey's a rookie. Brock Purdy's a 2nd-year player, and he just has a better grasp of the offense than Trey Lance does at this point. And the same thing with James Wiseman. I think Trey Lance has a ton of talent, but they're not going to give him a ton of time to show it. The same way that the Warriors weren't willing to do that with James Wiseman, because there's a certain point where this team is ready to win, and this player finding himself with the group is going to take too long, and you just got to move on at that point. And I think that's the case with Trey Lance. Do you have that Dan Orlovsky clip, Steven?
I do.
Let's play that real quick, because I think a lot of the national media today reacted to Trey Lance and his performance, because this was a nationally televised game on NFL Network yesterday. And Dan Orlovsky, you know, some people like him, some people don't. I think that among the ESPN analysts, he is probably one of the best, just because he breaks it down X's and O's style. He's not looking to be a hot take guy. and he's just given his football opinion here, and I actually agree with him here.
When I read a stat like that, he had time to throw, and he got sacked 4 times and a half. Dan Orlovsky, what does that mean?
I don't think Trey Lance can play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I've seen enough. He doesn't have enough reps playing football. That's the reality. That ball is almost intercepted. It should go to the left because the guy's wide open. The ball doesn't come out quick enough for Trey right now. And I think that after watching yesterday, he's so much more comfortable as an under center quarterback than a shotgun quarterback. But Kyle's offense has really become a shotgun offense. It's become ball distribution. It's become play point guard. It's become get it out quickly. And that's just not where Trey is right now. I want to be fair to Trey. He got better as the game went on, and that's why those reps matter. I just don't think he can play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. He should have thrown 2 interceptions. The ball gets held so long for him right now, and it hasn't gotten better in the 3 years that he's been in the NFL.
The only thing that I would push back on is I don't think Trey Lance is more comfortable as an under center quarterback. I think he'd be comfortable in a shotgun system if, he was just comfortable in the offense to begin with. I don't think that this style of offense fits what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, what Trey Lance wants to do. I think that, as I've said before, I don't think Kyle wanted to draft Trey Lance. I think this was kind of, a little bit of the, front office telling him this would be the best move and him kind of going along with it. But I think at the end of the day, he's more comfortable with a quarterback that can run his system more than building a system around this quarterback. I know that he had RG3, but if you listen to Kyle talk about those times, it sounded like he wasn't really into it. I don't think he's really into the quarterback running. I don't think he's into the zone read stuff. I think he's just into a guy that can hand off to the running back and make the proper throws when they're supposed to, and not do the Jimmy Garoppolo thing where he's just going to throw the ball blindly into where Kyle told him to throw it. You got to be a smart quarterback as well and adjust on the fly. That's why, Sean McVay wanted to move on from Jared Goff, and that's why Kyle wanted to move on from Jimmy. And he thinks, and as we said in the past, he's more confident in Brock Purdy. This is the most glowingly I've ever heard him talk about a quarterback that he's had.
Right.
Brock's the guy, and he's not, unless he plays terribly, he's not going to give up this job. So I don't think there's any way for Trey Lance to take this job.
If you had to ask me right now, and I don't know, maybe this could change over the next couple of weeks if he just looks like a vastly different quarterback and he proves it week after week, although this could play into how many reps he actually gets next week against the Broncos. Maybe they want to go Darnold for the entirety of the first half. Who knows? But right now, if I was a 49er fan, I'd be more comfortable with having Brock Purdy as the starter and then having Sam Darnold there to back it up. It feels like Darnold's the perfect backup right now.
Yep.
It's like with baseball, when they call up players for a really short amount of time, it's kind of unfair because, especially in this Giants system, for example, we'll take the Giants, even though every team subs guys out. People just don't watch other baseball teams. Like, every guy gets subbed for lefties and righties. It happens all the time in baseball. It's just how it is. But you can't develop anyone in that type of system, in one where you're constantly switching batters. At least the contending teams do. That's what they normally do. Or if a starter's already in and your only chance is to get in as a pinch hitter. Like, that's not a way to develop. You're there as just a backup option. And Trey Lance, like, I don't think he deserves to be a backup option in this league. I think he deserves to be a starter, but I also think he deserves some development and going to a team where maybe they can try to build around him as the quarterback and then they just take their chances. Because with the Niners, it's just not there right now. They don't have time to develop a quarterback. It's like the whole two-timeline approach with the Warriors, too. Yep. I'm going across both sports, cross-pollinating in both areas.
Oh, easy there.
But yeah, Jessie's on the couch over there, and she's like, Jesus. But no, I think that, like, maybe it's not the place for Trey right now. It's just not. If you want to get him those reps and get him some development, like that trade to a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for example, that seems like a place where he'd get some reps.
I'll give you another NFC South team. I think that he would strive in the Atlanta Falcons system with Arthur Smith,
Right?
because that system
another
seems more
one.
friendly to him. I hate when people go on national shows and say, well, you drafted this guy. Shouldn't you build a system around him? Offensive coaches don't think that way. They unless you're a made quarterback, like unless you're Bruce Arians and you're bringing in Tom Brady, or you're Gary Kubiak and you're bringing in, well, he was already there, but the Broncos bringing in Peyton Manning. Like if you're an offensive-minded head coach, like you think Sean Payton is delegating to what Russell Wilson wants to do in the offense? No, he's running his system. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that's when head coaches are arrogant. Yeah, well, tough shit. They're allowed to be that way. So I think Kyle, yes, he is arrogant in that fashion, but he's allowed to be because his offense has worked. Anybody that says otherwise is an idiot. So I think that it may just be that Kyle, the team shouldn't have the patience for this anymore, I think. And I think that he tried to make this work, and they were trying to go for the Mahomes thing, and it's just not the same. It's just not the same thing. So Mamayoko went on with Rich Eisen today, and after Rich Eisen finally figured out that Brock Purdy's the starter, he asked Matt, is there any chance that the Niners make some calls to get Trey off the team? And he said, I haven't heard anything as of right now. But if a team comes through and they realize that Trey's not going to be the number 2 and they offer them a 3rd-round pick, you have to listen. And I think they do. I think we're getting to that point now where what's in the best interest of the Niners and what's in the best interest of Trey Lance. I'm not pulling the plug on Trey Lance as a player in this league. I think he can do very good things in this league. Like the same thing with James Wiseman. It's just a matter of the fit. And is there any real difference, Steven, between Trey Lance being the number 3 guy in an emergency situation than Brandon Allen at this point?
No. You're the emergency quarterback. Like
if the 3rd overall pick is the emergency quarterback, like Zach Wilson's being the 2nd string quarterback for the Jets, that's a given.
Right.
No one's beating him out. If Trey Lance is the 3rd string quarterback in emergency situations this season, I understand everyone says, well, the Niners lost all their quarterbacks last year. They didn't have anybody in the NFC Championship game. That situation's not happening again. I think that was just a calamity of errors. I don't see Brock Purdy getting injured like that. I don't see Sam Darnold getting injured like that. Now, you want to prepare for that, and having Brandon Allen as a 3rd string quarterback for that situation is not bad. It's better than Josh Johnson. It's better than Christian McCaffrey throwing passes. But if you're just going to stash Trey Lance there and have him in street clothes for most of the season, I don't think that's good for him.
No. There comes a point, too, where I personally believe this. I'm not saying anyone else should, but I also feel like if it gets to this point where you're arguing about whether he could be the backup, I mean, I think it's in the team's best interest for him to trade him somewhere where he can actually get some reps and thrive. Like it doesn't have to be with the 49ers. I think that's the point where we're at now, and it sucks, but I also think some of the hype around him was fan driven. There wasn't, the exact same people saying that you don't have a big enough sample size to draw a conclusion that he's not ready for the NFL. Well, I could argue that you don't have enough of a sample size to draw a conclusion that he is ready for the NFL. We all have the exact same amount of tape. It's just people were jumping to conclusions that no one really likes. And I do guess I understand also, this is kind of besides like what the Niners can do for Lance, but just like the reaction around it yesterday, I kind of understand where the narrative around like the media trying to bring him down in a way, like, because they talked about how many, or they talked, like I saw like Matt Barrows yesterday tweet out what his quarterback rating would have been had those 2 passes been intercepted. And then people said that people essentially said, well, Brock Purdy's never been covered like this. This is crazy. Like, like all that sort of stuff. And man, I swear the media is trying to tear him down. Well,
according to Grant Cohn.
But I also think there's also a lot of media. I think the media can be salty, man. The national media, at least. And whenever they make a declaration and they're told by an entire fan base that they are idiots for thinking this, for anyone who says that Trey wasn't ready and they need to start Garoppolo over him, like the backlash that you got if you had that opinion, I think the media is that salty to where it could play into something like that.
Oh, 100%.
A vendetta, because people were really high on him. And I don't blame them for that, man. Like, even me as a Raider fan, more so growing up than now, but as a Raider fan, when Terrell Pryor came through, you know how excited I was that we got a running quarterback, like thinking that he could pass?
Oh, I wish I knew you back then.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
I would have brought you back to reality.
I know, but I get why. But I get why. But man, like, also, do you think in the draft, like, I've looked through it. I've looked through the draft order and what they gave up in order to get him and what they gave up in 2022 and here in 2023. Like, I'm not seeing any major picks in 2022 that made that much of a difference. But in 2023, you had guys like Joey Porter, who could certainly help you out at cornerback right now. Michael Mayer as a tight end. Like, they traded all those guys in the first round. At the end of the first round, they would have had the 29th pick. I mean, I think definitively you could say that, well, it was probably wasted that you traded up for him since you're just going to release him after this year or trade him.
Yeah, and it depends. It depends on what you get for him. But I think that I've been talking about Minnesota for a long time. I think that Kirk Cousins is on a lame duck year. I think Atlanta would be better for him. I just don't think it's beneficial for Trey Lance to, like, he's not Jordan Love. Like, this is not the same situation where you have a Hall of Fame quarterback ahead of him. It's that a rookie quarterback last year, it doesn't even matter that he's the last pick in the draft, but the last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, has done better than Trey Lance. And it may just be, like, if we did a skills competition, Trey Lance is beating Brock Purdy, no doubt. But it may just be that Brock Purdy fits this scheme better than Trey Lance does. And I agree with you, Steven. I think a lot of people were so tired of Jimmy Garoppolo that they were so hopeful that Trey Lance being the next superstar, being the next Patrick Mahomes. And when he didn't pan out, everyone's now having to, walk that back a little bit. And I get it. I mean, he's taken third overall in the draft. I get it. You have expectations like that. But I said it from the jump. Kyle wanted Mac Jones. He didn't, and that may have been a bad pick in itself. But this doesn't fit. I don't think it fits. And if they are able to get a third round pick for Trey Lance come Labor Day, I would do it.
Yeah. If they can get like, if you mentioned a third rounder, if they could get that for him, get a third round pick back.
Well, what do you think his draft value is right now? Or
That's
not draft, trade value.
I think it's right there. I would say that's even high right now. I mean, I understand it's just one preseason game, and here's the thing. This time last year, we saw Trey Lance throw an amazing touchdown pass to Danny Gray in the preseason. 2 years ago, we saw him, the Trey area touchdown pass to Trent Sherfield. He's played well in the preseason. It's not a question of yesterday being an indictment on him. It's just really unfair because in the small sample size we have, and we still got to give him 2 more games. I'm not ready to trade him tomorrow, but you saw Trey Lance get sacked 4 times and throw what should have been 2 interceptions yesterday, and Sam Darnold looked easy. Now he's going up against second stringers and third stringers, so maybe that's not fair. Maybe we'll get a better understanding of how Sam Darnold looks at this offense next week when they play the Broncos. But my biggest thing is let's say Brock Purdy does get hurt. Do you really want to change the offense that dramatically to go to Trey Lance? I know people are going to say, like, we don't have to change that. What we were talking about, just run the same offense. It's not the same offense. Sam Darnold's a very similar quarterback to Brock Purdy. It's not really missing a beat. If you do go to Trey Lance, you kind of do things differently. Like, I know everybody freaked out last year when, he's running Trey Lance too much. He broke his ankle. He had to do that. He had to do that because Trey wasn't ready. There wasn't a single designed run yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, not a single one. And you saw the result of what it's like whenever he drops back or he's in the shotgun, whatever, he holds onto the ball for quite a while. And I think they knew that. And like the reason they started him was because, well, they didn't know what they had in Brock Purdy. What were you going to do? Start? Who's the other guy? Who's the tall guy? Who's the other guy behind him? Yeah, last year, Nate Sudfeld. Who are you going to start? Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy over Trey Lance while Jimmy Garoppolo's gone? Neither of those guys. So it made sense that he started last year. And where's the message I wanted to bring up? AJ Cruz. This is becoming Wiseman 2.0 NFL edition. The parallels that you could draw with this, with Wiseman, same thing with Joey Bart on the Giants. Like drafted highly. It's not totally their fault, but they started with some injuries. Their development wasn't smooth sailing. And at the same time, it's pretty clear that Joey Bart wasn't ready for the big leagues. Wiseman, he could be a player, but he couldn't play in a Warriors Steve Kerr led system that requires a bunch of ball movement, and the big man doesn't really need to do much other than rebound and play defense. Like, it's very similar to that. And with none of those players, well, maybe more so, I think Joey Bart we might categorize as, I don't know about him being a baseball player, or a successful pro player. But when it comes to Wiseman and Lance, they still got some upside. They certainly do, just not with what was originally Wiseman's respective team and then Lance on the Niners.
Yeah. No, I do expect Trey Lance, and we still got 2 more games the preseason.
Yeah.
But I would expect at this point, if I'm judging from yesterday, he'll be the 3rd string quarterback. And at that point, it may be best to trade for him and find a better situation for him. So I am expecting Trey Lance to not be on this football team come the start of the season.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting at this point.
Yeah. It might very well be so.
Speaking of the Warriors, you see Bob Myers going to TV, ESPN?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, you predicted it. You called that one.
I just hope that he gets to his point a lot quicker on TV than he does at radio interviews.
Yeah, he'll need to work on telling the story in fluidity. I call him the Quentin Tarantino of radio interviews. He's a nonlinear storyteller.
So he likes feet?
No, nonlinear storyteller, not the foot fetish part.
Okay, gotcha.
That's not that part of Tarantino, but the storytelling aspect.
And he's going to call games too.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. I wonder how, like, he's a former basketball player playing at UCLA. I wonder how he'll break it down. I'm interested in that. He'll
thrive on that role, I think. I just want him to be critical of the Warriors once. I think that'd be hilarious.
When Draymond acts up, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think they automatic. I mean, you see it all the time, and with TNT, they plan to get these guys on like whenever it's appropriate. Like Draymond, after any sort of drama they'd have on TNT because he was associated with it. Yeah. I think Myers, if something happens with Draymond, Myers is going to be the first one they call. ESPN, NBA Live, all of these things.
Oh yeah. I mean, like when you work for ESPN now, you got to be on speed dial. That's just how they get you.
Yep.
From the Raiders standpoint yesterday, Aiden O'Connell, I think you and we don't really know him very well. We don't watch a lot of, Purdue football. And the biggest, I guess the comparison people had on him was he's going to be the next Brock Purdy because he just plays that style in college, and he was a fourth round pick for the Raiders this year.
4th rounder.
He looked good. Again, it's preseason, but I liked the smart throws he had. I thought that first drive he had was really good. He led his receivers to dry a little bit here or there, but I thought for the most part, like, he was working with second string talent. A lot of drop passes. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Aiden O'Connell impresses enough in preseason where he's a second string quarterback behind Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they have a decision to make on Brian Hoyer.
I almost think it's locked up.
You think so after yesterday?
I think as a backup, yes. But I don't doubt that he'll start some games for the Raiders this season. Given Garoppolo's track record, not of missing a season, but missing a game or two in the middle of it, like, I absolutely think he'll get the start. I still need to see more, but
yeah,
he, at the very least, man, and this is something you wanted to see from Lance and you didn't really see it. He just looked comfortable. Like, we keep on saying that word, but as long as you look like you belong and you're not too flustered, like even when he had I forgot who it was trying to sack him, but he managed to evade it and
he
throw the
did.
ball out of
Yep.
bounds. I don't know who it was, but I was really impressed with that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe they have something here. It
By the way,
made
Cleveland Farrell getting his sack in the old Darth Vader or whatever it's called. The what's the Star Wars nerds are gonna get on me? The Death Star? That's what they call it in Vegas.
yes, getting his own sack in the death. Had he never had one there before?
He has. I'm just saying,
okay.
like his first sack as a Niner is against the Raiders.
Do the Niners? I forgot. Do they have a Chargers game on their schedule? They do in the preseason. I don't think
Yes.
so in the regular season.
Not the regular season, no.
Yeah, okay, just the preseason. Well, that's when Furl seemed to really thrive. Everything he did, if he had any success with the Raiders, it was against the Chargers for some reason. So anyway, that'll be fun. No, he looked good, but this could be just a whole case of, yeah, you go with Chris Kasarik and you just turn into a different player. And maybe a new change of scenery helps too, that you're along with some of the best defensive players in the NFL. Furl's making a good case for himself, but O'Connell, he just looks smart, man. And that's what I want to see from Garoppolo. If anything from the Raiders, just see a guy who knows what to do, makes quick decisions, doesn't seem to get him into too much trouble. That's their only hope right now. And I kind of understand in this whole landscape of running quarterbacks, guys who are just fast and can escape the pressure and do all those different things. Well, sometimes having a Matt Ryan or having a Phillip Rivers or having a, I don't know, Mac Jones, Tom Brady type, maybe it's not that bad. So
No.
O'Connell showed some good things, man.
Think about what you're saying too. Like I Mac Jones, I understand the style of quarterback you're saying, but those guys are Hall of Famers. Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady, like you could say what you want about their athleticism, but as far as quarterbacks, you strive for that.
Right.
You want that. Steve Mariucci actually made the point that Aiden O'Connell reminds him of Brock Purdy. And he said that, and he even thinks that Aiden O'Connell is a starter in this league based on the clip that he had yesterday. As I'm killing time for Steven to play the clip.
All I can say is, wow, where'd this guy come from? I know he came from Purdue, and he started for a couple of years and played very well over there, 27 starts, and he was a darn walk-on over there at Purdue. What a story this is. But I came away from watching this game saying, this kid belongs in the National Football League. This is my first impression of his first pro game. And I'm thinking this guy can start in this league eventually because he's got enough arm, he's got enough zip and accuracy. He seems to have some confidence and some swagger to him. And I was very, very impressed. This kid's going to be a starter in the National Football League. I keep this clip of this tape because when it starts, I'm going to say, I told you so.
I love Mooch. I'm not ready to go all there yet, but I was very impressed with him yesterday. And kind of in the same way that maybe he's able to run this system kind of like Jared Stidham did last year. Now, I'm not ready to anoint Aiden O'Connell as the next great Raider quarterback. He's got to prove it, but I would feel comfortable with him as the backup. And I would even want him to kind of get the Derek Carr treatment. Maybe the last preseason game or the next preseason game, he starts the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, they almost did.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they bringing him out in the second half for? Made you quickly forget that the guy wearing number 4 before made you forget about it. Like your dad said that on the broadcast right away. What, they gave him a number 4 already? That's my impression of your dad. I don't know if it's any good. It's hard to
at
do
least, I will say this:
you gave him number 4 already, T-Rock.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Correct. You got to chill out with the T-Rock. That's the way too much T-Rock.
There's a lot of T-Rock nickname, but even he mentioned it like, oh, they're giving him the number 4 already. Well, I mean, what are you just going to let anyone retire a jersey just because he played for the franchise for a long time? And
no. But I mean, they could have gave him like something different. He wore 16 in college, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think Aiden O'Connell wore 16. And that's George Blanda's number, so maybe that's weird. But no, wait, no. George Blanda wore 3. Yeah, he could have wore 16. Oh, Plunkett's number. Yeah. I don't know. The Raiders don't retire numbers. Yeah, I'm with you. Who gives? Yeah. I mean, like, it's quick after Derek Carr leaves, but it's a fucking number. Who cares?
Yeah, it's better than a punter putting it on a punter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Zamir White?
I think he looked fine.
Yeah.
I don't like it. He's clearly got more speed than Jacobs. He's a big dude, in that end zone run where he managed to get it in, even though he got hit like pretty much at the line of scrimmage. That was impressive, but it still doesn't make me feel any better, say, than I do about Josh Jacobs not being there.
15 carries for 43 yards, the 1 touchdown. He did get stopped on 4th down, but didn't get a lot of blocking there. He looks serviceable. He looked better than a year ago. This is what I'll say, and it's part of my bigger thing here with the preseason in general. They still need Josh Jacobs. Don't get me wrong. But I think you saw a lot of games this past preseason where teams could get by with lesser running backs. And I think that Zamir White will become a better running back. He's a number 2 right now. But I think if this thing doesn't get rectified with Josh Jacobs, I don't think that they're hesitating that they'll be fine with him. Like, it doesn't mean that it's going to be equally as good as last year. God, no. But they'll get by with Zamir White rushing for 700 yards, 800 yards this season. It's not what their goal is.
You think White would go for 700 or 800 yards?
If he's the main back, yes.
Whew. I guess.
And that's
so.
but that's not even a good season by most running back standards now.
Yeah. No, I get you. I don't know how I feel about it. Sure, he might be serviceable enough, but I don't think serviceable is what they need this year. I think they need someone that can be a bell cow, that can run the tempo of their offense. I'm not seeing it look as comfortable as it did this preseason. I'm not going to be fooled by preseason again. I was when Josh McDaniels took over last year and he won every single preseason game. And I'm like, if preseason's any indicator into the regular season, and then what do you know? Just like with mostly preseason, all they did was play one good half of football and then one bad half of football. They never put together a complete game except for maybe 4 or 5 of them. So I'm not going to believe anything I see in preseason.
Yeah.
But the Zamir White thing, he's fine, but listen to those numbers: 15 carries for 43 yards. Those are highly mediocre.
Well, yeah, of course. But, he's only played one half of football.
For sure.
And the offensive line didn't block very well for him. I thought even on the touchdown run, he had to maneuver his way in and kind of forcefully get in. But that's what you want to see. Let me get to this real quick. My biggest takeaways from the first week of preseason.
Okay.
And it's nothing huge. Like, I didn't watch every game of the preseason. I just watched the highlights here or there. And
you didn't?
No. I watched Justin Fields dump down 2 passes that went for huge gains for touchdowns. Everybody's like, is Justin Fields going to have a breakout year this season? Relax. They're in the preseason. No one's blitzing. He threw those the DJ Moore play was really good. The touchdown pass to Khalil Herbert, just everybody chill the fuck out. But a couple of my biggest takeaways are from the running backs. I don't think it's any coincidence that Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook signed contracts today, the day after the first week of preseason. Because while I don't think anyone flashed in preseason as far as running backs, but I think that you're seeing a lot of young talent where they're showcasing these guys and pretty much saying, okay, we prefer to have these players, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, all these guys. But if you're not going to be there, we could get by with lesser talent. That's what I saw yesterday with Zamir White. I was like, he's not great. He's not Josh Jacobs by any means. But they can get by with him. They'll be okay. They'll be fine. He can get 67 yards a game. And they'll probably maybe even have the same result. I shouldn't say that, just because it depends on what kind of offense they're going to run. Are they predicated on being a passing offense? I highly doubt that with Jimmy Garoppolo. But that's what I think Josh McDaniels wants to do, is throw the football.
Right.
So at this point, we're seeing Zeke Elliott sign for $3 million today and Dalvin Cook signing for 8.6. I would say to Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor and other running backs, if teams are offering you $12 million a year or $13 million a year, you should take it now, because compared to these other guys, you're getting way more. You're getting way more.
Yeah.
And it may not be what you're looking for. I get it. It sucks. The guarantee money's not there. The amount of money annually is not there. But it's something.
Right.
It's getting to the point now where the running back position is becoming honestly like a scab position.
Yeah.
A little bit. Well, they'll find lesser talent.
Yeah. I'll say this about the Ezekiel Elliott and the tie to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are quickly going to have my favorite running back group in the league. Because last year I was a Tony Pollard apologist, About
to say combine that.
Pollardist, because I felt like he was trapped behind the starting running back that was Ezekiel Elliott and his crop tops. I'm like, Tony Pollard is better than that. He should be a starter somewhere. Still remember watching that game against the Texans where they were making a comeback and Ezekiel Elliott was taking all the snaps in the fourth quarter where Tony Pollard, they'd kept cutting to him on the sideline and he wasn't getting anything. Like Tony Pollard deserves to be a starter. And then they have the next coming of Darren Sproles on their team in Deuce Vaughn. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's just one takeaway.
Yeah, I know everyone's excited about the Titans with Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. This is Derrick Henry's last season with the Titans. If they don't look very good, they drafted a guy. I think this past draft, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Derrick Henry gets dealt to Dallas because they need a goal line runner. They don't have one right now. They have Ronald Jones, but he can easily get cut. He's not that good. Just other takeaways I had from the preseason: the rookies look like rookies. Everyone's shitting on Bryce Young after Saturday's performance.
He went out of the box with that take.
What the rookies look?
They do look like rookies. Woo!
No, they do. But like, if anyone's expecting like amazing play right away, like I would temper your expectations. I think that C.J. Stroud struggled. Anthony Richardson, it's their first time, and I think a lot of people are going to be really like we don't give quarterbacks a pass anymore. We're seeing it right now with Trey Lance. Since Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan entered the league, everybody expects these rookie quarterbacks to play right away and play well. And I would say that those guys need some time a little bit, even though I think they're all going to be great.
Dude, with the look, you can't tell me that Anthony Richardson doesn't look exactly like Cam Newton out there.
Oh yeah,
like the size, like the way they run.
Yeah.
It really felt like I was watching Cam Newton in a Colts uniform. It was wild, dude.
I'll say this too. Derek Carr looked pretty good.
That's fine.
Pretty good.
He's been looking pretty good. He's been looking pretty good for his entire career. Just wait till he gets one big game in the cold, and then he's going to flop. It happens every year.
And it was against the Chiefs, Steven.
Oh, man.
It's got to make you wonder now. Did the Raiders fuck up?
Hey, I'll say something for the Chiefs. I don't know if this is anything to pay attention to because they have Patrick Mahomes, which can offset everything. But they played with their number one offensive line, their starting offensive line in a preseason game, which indicates to me, like I'm going to go by like what Kyle Shanahan said, say, for example, about the nickel cornerback position. Is Isaiah Oliver the true number one? No, but we're still evaluating the position. If you're putting out your entire starting offensive line or what's projected to be your starting offensive line, everyone projected Isaiah Oliver to be the starter. He's like, nah, he's not the starter. He's just getting his reps to see if he could be the number one. I think they're in some sort of evaluation period with their offensive line. I think that could be something to watch out for through the season. Just Mahomes getting hit a lot.
I also think that they may have just played their starting offensive line because Mahomes was starting and they don't want him to get hurt in a preseason game.
I think they're still evaluating their options.
Very well. Also, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Chris Jones doesn't get the contract he wants. Because if he's looking to get Aaron Donald money, and so is Nick Bosa, I think Nick Bosa is more inclined to get that than Chris Jones.
And he should be. He's the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, but if Chris Jones looking to get equal money to like if he's getting more than Quinnen Williams, I can live with that. I'm not ready to give Chris Jones the Aaron Donald money, and I wouldn't be surprised either if Chris Jones says goodbye to the Chiefs, which would be big for the AFC West.
Yep, could be huge.
Yeah. Lastly here, Zach Wilson looked pretty good, and I think that goes back to the Trey Lance thing, where I think having Rodgers be the starter there and Zach Wilson not having any pressure on him and just learning from him from a Hall of Fame quarterback is going to benefit him greatly.
I also want to respond to something you mentioned in the Bears thing. You said like, everyone cool your jets on Justin Fields. I don't think the Jets should be cooled though on that offense. That could be a really explosive offense this year.
You want a little hot take from me?
What's that?
I think there's a case that the Bears offense looks really good this year, but their defense doesn't equal what the offense is putting out there. And we've seen it a lot of times. Sometimes your offensive coordinator is such a high commodity that you don't want him to leave, so you elevate him to head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Eberflus is fired and Luke Getsy gets the head coaching job after this season.
I don't know anything about their coaches. All I know is that offense is going to look pretty good this year.
All of the, just throwing it out there. One of these days we'll do our.
Is that going to be your season-long thing that you're looking at random videos
No.
for what the Chicago Bears are going to do and with their head coach?
Oh boy, yeah, I'm
who's on the hot seat?
Is Dove Kleiman going to be faceless at giving updates on the future of head coaches?
AI Dove Kleiman.
Speaking of which, I don't have to worry about his reports anymore or any of those other dumb accounts that are run by fake people. Ari Menoff's a real person, right?
Ari Meirov?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I know he is, but he was kind of one of the originators of those accounts.
Yeah, I mean, he was just called My Sports Update for a really long time.
But now he's gone legit because he's got a face. It's over, Steven. It's finally over. Dalvin Cook signed. Zeke Elliott signed a few hours before him. And now Dalvin Cook can finally be given a role on Hard Knocks tomorrow.
Man, I'm good with everything in my life. I'm good. Everything is right in the world.
Now we got to see what happens to Kareem Hunt.
Why?
Because he's going to get paid. Because now the veteran running backs are realizing they're not going to make the top dollar that they used to, and they're settling for lesser contracts. That's what happened to Zeke today. That's what happened with Dalvin Cook. It's only a matter of time for Kareem Hunt signs, and we got Jadeveon Clowney in the next couple of days here. We still got things we could look out for.
Those are things you can look out for. I thought this was over. All right.
It's never over. It's never over.
Oh my God.
But we could tie this into our division deep dives. Each one of these episodes we do before the season starts, we'll focus on a division, and today we'll do the AFC East. We're not going to say like how we think they're going to stack up because we got plenty of time for that. But just give me one thing. Well, obviously the Jets signed today, Dalvin Cook. I think that helps them out because you don't know what's going to happen with Breece Hall. It sounds like he'll be ready for week 1, but with an injury, it's, to come back from an ACL, it's tough. And they got some young running backs in that room there. They could move on from Michael Carter. That's the rumor. I thought Zeke signing with the Patriots was a pretty good move. Pair him up with Ramondre Stevenson. The days of a guy being the number 1 back, I think, are not the case anymore. So you can have a tandem backfield. So,
yeah,
Breece Hall will share carries with Dalvin Cook, and Ramondre Stevenson will share carries with Zeke Elliott. But just as far as the division itself, Steven, what's one thing that you like about each of these teams, and what's the thing that you're kind of worried about with these teams?
Okay. And let's also preface it with one thing. I know you said the title, but we are going to go through each division for each episode, or at least one division each episode until the football season starts. I think by the time that we're up to football season, that's when the season previews will be at an end, and we'll pretty much have everything written down. Now, the AFC's, real quick, before I get to one thing I like and one thing I don't like, do you think this is like the toughest division in the NFL? Would you say, bar none, this is the toughest division in the NFL?
No, I do not.
Oh, what do you think it is?
AFC North.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Really?
I think all 4 of those teams could be playoff teams.
Really? Because I could. Oh wow! Actually, yeah. And then, you know what? Kenny Pickett did look good.
Do you like the Steelers' chances better than the Patriots' chances?
Ooh, I'd say yes.
Then I just convinced you.
I'd say absolutely yes. So, what I like about the, what I don't like about the Patriots is really the fact that Mac Jones is their starting quarterback. Like, I just don't think that this dude is going to be at the level of these other teams, like, say, these other teams, like, every team in the AFC East, like the Dolphins, like the Bills, like the Jets. I don't think he's going to, it's obvious. He's like probably the 4th ranked quarterback in that division. Going to have to play them twice a season. Last year, it seemed to be dwindling. It's just going to be a massive road for them to build him up and be the quarterback that they want him to be. I think there's just going to be another one of those things where this season it's going to be like Bailey Zappi comes in for one game, lights it up, and then all of a sudden we're wondering if that's going to happen. There's that. But as far as what I do like about them, they didn't do much. But to me, like the Patriots defense, if there's anything, it's going to be really strong. Under Bill Belichick with Matthew Judon, I think they've just continued to get better every year. And I think they're kind of an underrated defense. I'm just expecting a lot of low scoring games. They didn't do much to bolster it, but they didn't do much to really hurt it either. So it's not much change. And I think just overall, they'll be better. With the Bills, kind of talked about it. What I don't like is expecting James Cook to make up for everything. Josh Allen is meant to take over and do the thing that Josh Allen does, which is pretty much run the offense and literally run the football for them, do everything that they can. I don't think James Cook is going to alleviate some of that. I think he's going to feel the pressure on his own, and he's going to try to make too many plays. And I think by the end of the season, the wear and tear could get to him. What I do like about the Bills is it's kind of the same as the Patriots, really. But if their defense manages to stay healthy, you get the addition of Von Miller, Ed Oliver on the inside, that's secondary. Like, I think the Bills can be a really formidable defense. So the defense will certainly keep them in the games. Then the Jets, everything going on with the Jets right now is positive. I can't really find much negative other than a potential one, which is Aaron Rodgers just don't have it anymore. And it wasn't the fact that he didn't have any wide receivers. It was just the fact that he's just past his prime, and that's what it is after a back-to-back MVP year, and he's just on the downslope of his career. Can't really see much negative other than that because they've done everything they can to bolster their team. Their defensive line has been the story of the preseason for them so far. They crushed it in this first preseason game. Looking forward to that on Hard Knocks. But the addition of Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall coming back, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner getting another year under their belt. Again, that defense, that front seven is so, like, if any 49er fan watches the Jets, just watch how similar that Jets defense is to the 49ers. It's all run through their linebacker, the speed of their linebackers, and their defensive line getting pushed as well. And then the Dolphins, I don't really know what to make of the Dolphins. Like, what's changed for their team this offseason?
Well, it was supposed to be Jalen Ramsey.
That's right. There we go. Jalen Ramsey got hurt. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing, because they've fallen under the category too of things that they've done this offseason. They've done everything that I do. They've done everything that I like. But my question around them, something I'm concerned with, if there's anything, it would be Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
And whether he looks like the same quarterback that he did before he had those concussions last year, because if my memory serves me correctly, kind of speaking in a pun there, but if my memory serves, like, he didn't do that great toward the end of last season.
No.
So I think that's one thing that can hold him back. And I don't really like that they didn't sign Dalvin Cook. I think that's going to hurt them in the long run too. I think they could have used him. I personally do.
They got a guy that they drafted, Devon Achane. That's what I'm saying. Like, they, Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. Well, I don't think they're high caliber running backs. I think they're fine. I think they're fine there, and they're a passing offense. And I think I think the Jets are more ready to win. Although this whole thing with Dalvin Cook, just to go back there real quick, the whole thing was ridiculous for the last 2 weeks. It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear he was always going to sign with them. Like, if you monitor his Twitter and everything he likes is Jets related.
Right.
So it was just a matter of the money he wanted to get. But also, it sounds like that shoulder surgery he had earlier this season is going to prevent him from going to camp right away. And also, I just think he doesn't want to go to camp. And also, he's having a baby. So he won't be on the Jets quite yet, but he'll play against his brother come week 1.
Mm-hmm.
James Cook, which, by the way, you ever heard this before? Dalvin James Cook and his brother, James Dalvin Cook.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, you like that? All right.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Alternate the first and middle name. I'm a fan of that.
So you be okay with Ian Langford and Ian Stephen Langford?
I'd be fine with that.
Well, there's always time to change your middle name.
I don't know your brother's name.
Which one?
I don't know. None of them.
I got an older stepbrother and I got 2 younger half brothers, Nick and Andrew.
I think I've met Nick. I can't remember. Anyway, so we're not going to go through that. So Andrew, Derek, Andrew.
Yeah, I don't like that. Real quick here, just to go through the teams. What I like about the Jets, obviously, is Rodgers. I think that he brings so much to that team, and to bring the star power to him and bring an element to them that has an elite quarterback and everything. So I know everyone's expecting them to, like, there's half of people that are like, ooh, the hype, like, oh, they're going to be great. And some people are like, it's too much hype. I think they'll be fine. I think that the hype won't get to them a little bit. I don't think they are going to be as big as everybody expects them to be, but I think they're going to be fine. The biggest thing that I worry about with them is their offensive line. People could say, like today, some people are like, they don't need Dalvin Cook. That's probably right. They probably don't need Dalvin Cook. They probably need more offensive line help. Mekhi Becton didn't look good in, I guess, the first 2 preseason games. Billy Turner, the right tackle for the Packers back in the day, maybe their go-to guy over Mekhi Becton. They're waiting for Dwayne Brown, the 37-year-old left tackle, to get healthy, so that's a problem there. They may need more money. Like, I know Aaron Rodgers gave some money back to get Dalvin Cook, but they may need to allocate some more money to help out with that offensive line, because I wouldn't doubt that they're going to kind of operate like the Rams did a couple seasons ago, where they're trying to go all out to win the Super Bowl this year and try to get as much talent as possible. Dolphins, their explosive pass offense is the best thing I like about them.
Yeah.
They have 2 of the quickest wide receivers of football with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And they're just going to be explosive if Tua is healthy. I don't think they'll skip a beat like last year. They'll incorporate more of the running game now with, they had both those guys last year in Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, but I think Devin A-Chain is more of a pass-catching running back, so they'll help them. The biggest thing I worry about with them is their biggest offseason acquisition, Jalen Ramsey, is not going to be there until December. Yeah. And their biggest problem last year was the defense. And they got our dude from the 49ers, defensive coordinator for back of the day. Well, I'm still trying to think of his name. Good Lord, Vic Fangio. And now they're going to have to rely on Xavier Howard's a great cornerback, but he's no Jalen Ramsey. He's pretty good. But
Xavier Howard's good. It's not him you got to worry about.
No, do they have the pass rush? Is Bradley Chubb, that good of a pass rusher? They gave him a shit ton of money, but I have my questions about him. I think they'll be fine. They got to be good once Jalen Ramsey comes back.
I think that defense is I think they could be pretty damn good this year, but Eli Apple on the other side is not great.
Yeah.
But and Bradley Chubb,
Tyreek Hill and him have their history, I guess.
Yeah. But Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, and Jalen Phillips, you could pull a defensive line that's a lot worse than that.
No, they're good. They just got to get to the quarterback a lot more.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Bills. What I really like about them are 2 things. I thought the defense kind of got a little soft towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I think Leslie Frazier's a good dude, but I like Sean McDermott taking the defense back because he knew he had to improve that. I disagree with you, Steven, on the running game. I think that they'll be fine with James Cook being an equal parts pass-catching running back / running back that they can rely on. He's different than Devin Singletary. And I like that they picked up Damian Harris to be that in-between the tackler guy that they get on the goal line, so it doesn't have to be Josh Allen forcing it in. The biggest thing that I worry about with the Bills is Josh Allen. And I know he's a great quarterback, but can he be clutch? Can we see the same Josh Allen that was going to beat the Chiefs? Last year, I thought he was great, but at the same time, he was equal parts Brett Favre, where he was just too turnover prone.
Yep.
He's the reason they lost that game to the Vikings. He fumbled the ball in the end zone. He threw the pick in the end zone to Xavier Howard. Sorry, who was it? No, Patrick Peterson. So he's got to rise up a little bit and be clutch and prove that he's in the same class as a Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes, because he's the only one out of the 3 that hasn't gone to a Super Bowl yet.
Right.
And finally, with the Patriots, the biggest improvement they made this season is simple: just getting an offensive coordinator. They got Bill O'Brien. That's all they need, is just to show that they have some life on offense. At the same time, their offense does not look as good on paper as any other of the 3 teams in the AFC East. So by default, They're just not as good talent-wise as the other teams of that division.
Yeah. No, I think they're the outlier. If there's any team that's the outlier, it's the Patriots. I mean, I think the Dolphins are still questionable. You need another stellar season from Mike McDaniel, which he can improve on. But after all, it's his second season in the league. I don't know. He could look like a different guy. Like last year, right? What were we looking at last year? We had the Bills in first.
Yep.
Then what do we have? The
Dolphins in second.
Dolphins second, the Patriots in third, and the Jets fourth. I mean, it looks like the biggest turnaround is going to come from the Jets as far as record. I think we're going to expect the Bills to be anywhere in that 10 to 13 win range.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins 9-8. Maybe that's the team they are this year without Jalen Ramsey till December.
Yeah, and they limped towards the playoffs. They had a good start, and then they lost like 5 in a row.
Streaky as hell, that team, if I'm not mistaken. Weren't they? Didn't they like, or was that under Brian Flores where they had a couple of games and then they won like 5 straight and then they lost a bunch? I don't know. I think maybe it's the former.
You could say the case for the last 2 seasons because the Dolphins, I think, lost 7 in a row, and then they went on to finish with like a 9-8 record. Respectable, but enough to get Brian Flores fired.
Yeah. Then the Patriots 8 and 9. I could see that being a lot worse this year, depending on what their schedule looks like. I'd have to look through that entire thing.
Enough to get Belichick fired?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. If he just seems that he's out of his element.
Yeah, we'll save that for another day. We'll talk about the coaches that are on the hot seat.
So
there you go. There's a little preview at the AFC East. What do we do? NFC East next time?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool. Did you watch the Johnny Manziel doc?
I did. I watched it purposefully when I woke up from a little nappy nap, and I watched it earlier.
Today?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
What did I think? I didn't really know what to think. I laughed a little bit because in the beginning of the doc, you could tell that friend that he had growing up, you could tell that he was going to have some sort of role in the downfall of it. But it made me laugh when, like, maybe 20 to 25 minutes in, he basically said, yeah, I'm way in over my skis here. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm 20 years old. like he just admitted straight up, yeah, I didn't know how to be this type of friend to a guy who's an absolute superstar. I do think it's a nice reminder. Well, not a nice reminder. It's a solid reminder of just how popular Manziel really was at that time. He was the biggest thing going. I was in college at that time, and he was just an absolute superstar. Like, everybody wanted a piece of Johnny football. It was crazy when he was going through that at Texas A&M. Then I didn't really understand, though, like what we learned from the documentary, other than he had suicidal thoughts and suicidal intentions, and that's why he was spending all his money.
Yeah.
But everything else, you kind of saw it in the doc, but he's also he's part of that age that's like in the up and coming social media superstardom. So everything he did was all over the internet. So It's not like there's much of a mystery as to like what he used to do outside of, like, it's all of a sudden we're learning that Johnny football was Mr. Party Animal after every game. Like, I didn't learn anything new about that. We all knew that.
Let me start by saying I have a lot of bias because I went to Texas during Johnny football's time at A&M, and I hated him. Absolutely hated him for a lot of reasons, because he would kick Texas, and that was the first year of the SEC, so they didn't play each other, so it doesn't really matter. But just going to Texas, you hate Texas A&M, and half of my graduating class went to A&M. And Johnny Manziel just reminds me of all of the douchebags that I knew in high school that went on to go to A&M. I've seen guys like him all the time. And I laughed. I remember going to college when he got thrown out of the UT frat. And it's all based on him wanting to go to Texas and not getting in. And bias aside, I do feel sad that he talked about contemplating suicide and all that stuff. Like, that's terrible. But watching the documentary, I didn't feel sorry for him. I just don't.
No.
Like, it's a story that's been told so many times, sadder degrees from like guys like Ryan Leaf or Tom Marinovich. This guy was just a party animal that didn't want to be an NFL quarterback, didn't have the head to do it, and didn't have the talent to do it, and he was just kind of whiny. He expected his dad to help him out of every situation, like
Yeah.
whatever. I forget what happened in the documentary where he called his dad for his help, but he took advantage of his friend. They really didn't do a good job of getting into his problems when he went to the Browns.
Yeah.
Like, I remember him flipping off the crowd in the preseason game. I'm like, I would have loved to hear Josh Gordon as a interviewee in the documentary.
See, that's one to me that's way more interesting, though. I think the end of his story is still kind of being told right now, it seems. I don't know where he's at. I do wish he would have spoken to. Yeah, like just anyone from that Browns team.
They were doing drugs together when they were on the Browns.
Right.
So I would have loved to hear that perspective. Cliff Kingsbury was funny to me. He was just like, hey, you're not going to tell Johnny Football to go to class when he's taking online classes, man. Like, we knew he was getting fucked up, but we just let it happen. It's like, all right, Cliff. And also, the Browns drafted him, like Mike Pettin and Ray Farmer, the people in charge at the time, when he showed up shit-faced to a workout and his wide receivers were too fucked up to be a part of the thing, so he got his agent to catch passes from him.
Right.
Like, come on, dude. Like, that should be a huge red flag. And also, you know who his agent is? Eric Burkhart, the guy that was in that documentary?
Kevin Burkhart's brother.
No.
Oh.
Kyler Murray's agent.
Oh.
And Cliff Kingsbury's agent. So I'm seeing a kind of a correlation here.
Yeah, see, that was also my takeaway. Is it's a classic case of the star not helping himself, not having the people around him to help. It's like Kingsbury's just like, hey, well, if you're going to party, just do good on the field.
Yeah.
And he's a coach. He's not going to control what the what a football star does. Like, you can't control him like that, but I think coaches can have something of an influence. I mean, we heard everything with the Cardinals locker room when Cliff Kingsbury was gone. Since Jonathan Gannon took over, it's just they actually have some order around the place, which you do need, even though they're professionals. Like, that's how Cliff Kingsbury probably led him on to a Texas A&M. Didn't have any help at all. Didn't help himself. But you're right. I didn't feel that much either. Like, I remember thinking after the Manti Te'o doc, which I needed a fresh reminder on it, and with actually having the Lene Kukua, the person who faked it, like, with having that person, it was enlightening, I guess, is a word to use maybe. And it made me feel for Manti Te'o in a time when a lot of people made fun of him. But for Johnny Manziel, it's just a story of a guy's rise, and a rise to about as high of a mountaintop as you could possibly get to. Like, he went to Mount Everest.
Yeah,
literally, because there's also snow on the top of Mount Everest, and he got involved in the snow probably. But like the fall, I don't know. It just, I don't know, man. I didn't really. It just kind of ended. It seemed like they had a story, and then all of a sudden it's just, well, I regret a lot of my life as I'm sipping on a Stella Artois out here in my backyard playing ping pong and beer pong. Like, I regret a lot of my life.
Still in a beer bong with his buddies. Like, at the same time, like, we're all supposed to feel sorry for him, but like, did he learn anything? Like, did he go to rehab?
No. I mean, he did, but I don't think he learned much because he's still drinking, and like he's just living it up like a guy in Arizona. I don't know. There's plenty more stories that are untold that need to be told. I don't think the Johnny Manziel one was really one of them.
No, because I don't think that he's a sympathetic personality. I really don't. And I understand that he came close to suicide, and that's very sad. But I don't think that you come out thinking anything differently of him. I think that there's so many things that he's done, like talking about like the abuse with his girlfriend, and that just goes away. Like, he just kind of like nonchalantly, like, yeah, it was a bad thing to do, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to say even Joe Thomas or Paul Kruger, whoever it was, had to drive off the side of the road because he saw Johnny Manziel yelling at his girlfriend or something. It's I know I sound biased because I had my feelings about him when
No,
when I watched him, but I don't feel sorry for him. I don't.
I don't think anyone does. Like, to be honest, one thing I was listening to that part of my take, and like, they said they were about to do a review too, and they basically said like they talked about how good it was, but like
It's
I
not
watched
that
it,
good.
I'm like, it's not that good.
No, it's Manti Te'o's doc was way better than this. Like you actually felt sorry for Manti Te'o. With Johnny Manziel, he just seemed like a spoiled little kid, and the fact is he wasn't. He made that lie up.
Yeah,
Like, and I get it. Like athletes, college athletes want to get paid for the universities just taking advantage of them financially, and I get that. Johnny Manziel was huge. He was the biggest name in college sports, and his jersey was going for millions of dollars. I get that. He should be able to get the benefits of that. But at the same time, his work ethic sucked. He treated his friend like shit once he got to the NFL. His own father told, I remember this and being a huge red flag going into the draft. He told people like his son is an alcoholic.
yeah.
It's kind of factual, or he would know he's his dad. And then in the end, he calls on his dad to help him in the end, and then they have a good relationship now. But I remember when he was coming out for the draft, and it was the same draft as Jadeveon Clowney and Khalil Mack and Blake Bortles, and this guy, he got a lot of hype. I remember some people in the Bay Area saying this guy should go to the Raiders, or this guy should be the first overall pick. And I don't know, his whole, like, I never root for people to fail, but I knew this guy was going to fail. It was the most cliche ending to this whole thing. It really was.
Who wanted Johnny Manziel to go to the Raiders? There was a draft
Guy
analyst.
Haberman, Damon Bruce.
No, there was, well, maybe, but
I remember.
There was a draft analyst though. That's right. I think Gruden was one of them. Oh
Well,
man,
Gruden wasn't. I mean, Gruden was in love with, like, whenever he was on draft coverage, any quarterback available in the draft, he was like, "Now I'll tell you what, man. I drafted this Johnny Manziel guy. Like, hey, the Raiders got Khalil Mack. Whatever.
yeah.
There's a guy named Football at the end of his name. Now I get to pass that up."
I could tell right away too when the friend said, "You know how athletes have a diet and a regimen? That doesn't apply to Johnny Football. Like that didn't apply to Johnny. Yeah, unless you're Shaq, who can just show up fat and just dominate. Like you're not Shaq.
You mean DJ Diesel?
DJ Diesel, yes. He's not
outside
really
lands.
He's not really a DJ. If you want to really take the prototypical person who just clicks buttons, that's all Shaq does. He doesn't do anything. but like immediately I'm like, athletes don't always have that sort of diet, that the strict regiment that they have. I'm like, yeah, they do. A lot of these successful ones seem to have something strict that they can rely on so that they're fully healthy and ready into the season. Like everything just seemed to go wrong for him. And I came away from it just not feeling any differently about him. I don't feel like I learned too much, except for he really was down deep. But other than that, like, it's Johnny Football. Like, everyone knew the story of Johnny Football.
There's so many documentaries out there now for Tom Brady and, Man in the Arena. We just watched the quarterback one on Netflix with guys that work hard, and Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins, even Marcus Mariota a little bit. And then you see this, and you're like, this guy was given an opportunity, and he like showed up hungover or passed on the Manning Academy, and you're like, people would die to be in his position. And we're just supposed to feel sorry for this kid that got fame and just didn't want to do anything with it, didn't want to work hard, just wanted to party all the time. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really I didn't come away from it too much thinking about anything.
Nah. I again, it's very sad that his life went that way.
Right.
And I don't wish that on anybody. But he was given a golden opportunity and he screwed it up. And in the end, I don't feel sorry for him.
there's another guy who had a really short-lived football career. It was an untold story.
I would rather watch that.
I'd rather watch one of Andrew Luck. I remember the Stanford story. Okay, I don't know what impression. I'm starting to go with something totally different. But
yeah, you sound like Jimmy Stewart.
I do a little bit. Oh, Andrew Luck. His jersey was sold in the Stanford store, and he didn't get any of the money.
No, why you gotta play that damn piano right now? Oh, Daddy, why?
I don't know why I started turning Andrew Luck into Jimmy Stewart, but I'm interested in that. I don't know. Johnny Manziel, I didn't really need to. Didn't really need it.
I don't care. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to bring up, Steven? Do you see Dave Fleming was the ball boy tonight?
I need to see Dave Fleming was the ball boy tonight. The Giants are certainly reeling right now. Their offense doesn't have nothing for the past month and a half.
Hey, it could be worse.
What?
I mean, the Rays are kicking their ass right now.
Yeah.
But at least the Giants don't have to answer to Wander Franco.
This is true.
Whoo!
Yeah. That story's wild.
Yeah, I'll say so.
Yeah, like
is this guy just going to be like Deshaun Watson the rest of the season, and we're just not going to see him again?
I don't know. Like the instant I saw that story, it's amazing how something just as simple as one quick push notification that you read, and you read the words that Tampa Bay Times reporting that Wander Franco is taking time away from the team as MLB investigates Twitter posts that allege he had an inappropriate relationship with a minor. Instantly, it's like, okay, Wander Franco, you're no longer that former number 1 overall prospect turned star with the Rays. You are now Wander Franco, potentially dating a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Not good. Not good at all.
And then,
I'm sure somewhere Karl Malone's like, well, thank God I didn't play during the internet era.
Then, jeez.
Too soon?
A little bit, yes, because we also don't know everything. These are just Twitter allegations from someone on social media who claims.
Okay, Mr. Reporter.
I'm just saying. But also, like, I don't know if you saw the national reports, but they kept away from actually mentioning that it was with the inappropriate stuff with a minor because that wasn't completely confirmed by their sources. So They just said he's taking time away from the team, going on the restricted list, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just casually put in the middle of every report, just one line. By the way, the Rays had a giveaway that it was hat night for those who are 14 and under attending at the game, which it was.
Oh my God.
It was on the same day. Yeah.
That's terrible timing.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Good Lord.
Terrible, man. Terrible. I hope these things are. I mean, if it's true, then I hope it's treated way different than Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish the Deshaun Watson thing was treated differently. I wish a lot of things in the NFL were treated differently. We've all kind of just forgot about them and don't mention them ever again. But
they do. Like you and I were talking the same night that the Hall of Fame game was going on.
Yeah.
And Chris Collinsworth pretty much talked about what you and I talked about.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, how do we cover the football guy, but also bring up the stuff he's done? And I think it was a fair point. Like it's always going to be with him. Like, does it need to be brought up every time he plays an NFL game? No, but it's going to be always synonymous with his reputation as an NFL player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that might be the worst thing of all. Well, for them.
Yeah, exactly. Anything we could bring up to end this on a lighter note?
Not really.
Well, that seems like a downer. Shit.
It is a little bit of a downer, but you brought it up.
Well, somebody in the chat here said they saw AJ Cruz said they watched the movie I recommended a couple weeks ago. They cloned Tyrone. It's a good movie.
So I logged into the Netflix. I just tried it because I got it logged into the TV. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
So I logged into the TV to try it out just again because I'm logged into my brother's. But and I'm seeing to bring up the Luis Medina play. All right, I will. But anyway, the Netflix thing, it signed back into my brother's. I was using a different account, signed back into it, no problem. So maybe I'll try to watch it without even trying to get a new Netflix account. And the Luis Medina thing, that's not nearly as bad as what happened on Sunday. like the Luis Medina thing. All right, that's just a boneheaded play. But yesterday,
You get what you pay for with the A's. I'll say that.
Giving up 6 runs in the 9th to give up the lead in the loss
For who?
the A's against the Nationals yesterday.
Oh, dude, I don't even pay attention anymore.
They got something in Zach Geloff, man. That rookie. Hey, look up Carl Buszczyk's Twitter. He's all over it.
Oh, I believe me. When I need some A's news, I always go to Carl Buszczyk.
He is unleashed, my friend. But Zach Geloff is an absolute beast.
Unleashed.
Yeah. Zach Geloff's an absolute beast. But like, I don't know how A's fans would feel about that right now. Like, how would they even feel about their team? I almost feel bad for him because he's off to probably the hottest start that any A's rookie has ever had. 8 home runs, I think, through 24, 25 games or something, which he already eclipsed like Matt Chapman, Jose Canseco, Yoenis Cespedes, like the most home runs through 22 games. Pretty sure his 8 home runs through 25 are already a record. But no one even really cares too much right now because the A's aren't a good team and they're likely leaving. So anyone you're calling up right now probably won't be that great until they get to Vegas, or B, likely to be traded.
Yep.
Like that's how it goes, or just gone through free agency. But that's not going to happen with these guys because they won't have that much service time. But yeah, you get where I'm going.
Yep. Makes you wonder, why should we even watch?
Yeah.
Or
Luis
go to the games.
Medina jogging to first, though. That was pretty bad. I mean,
Yes, it
you're
was.
right, skills. It was, he showed a real lack of skills. I hope in your skills report, you reported that Luis Medina didn't use the skills that he possesses.
By the way, that guy's name is Skills Report, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if Steven hit that hard enough, but Skills Report.
Yeah, report on the skills.
Yeah.
I love skills report. He's given us more mention on Twitter than anyone. Shout out to the Ernies. The Ernies have been here since the start. They're the OGs for sure. But skills out here tagging people?
Yeah.
Come on. They saying we talk about a wide range of sports topics? Love that.
We do. Appreciate the love.
Yeah.
Although Ernie too going to Levi's tonight, not being a part of the show. Kind of, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about him anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that guy. Yeah, I looked it up. I guess Carol G is performing at Levi's Stadium, so I just Googled Carol G, and the last thing I saw
Any relation to Kenny G?
No relation to Kenny G.
Yeah.
Actually, it is. It's just Carol G is just like a woman who plays like the tenor saxophone on stage. Just Kenny G's cousin.
Yeah.
I like that.
Couldn't get Kenny G tonight, so we got a Carol G fill.
We got Carol G instead. Oh, I like that.
You expecting Kyle Harrison to be brought up this week?
I don't know.
Warren G, the regulator. Oh, rest in peace, though. Wait, is Warren G still around?
Warren G's still around. Yeah.
Okay, it's
He's
Nate
still
Dogg.
with us. Yeah.
It's Nate Dogg. That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey. Anyway, you see your guy Mark Matthias on Friday?
I did.
I saw you at the public house. You want to say hi to your old friend?
Yeah. Yep. Got a chance to see him, talk to him, talk to his family. It's good to catch up.
Did he get sent down today?
And he got sent down. He ended up getting sent down today.
It's good you saw him while he was still around.
Yes. Regardless, man, seeing a guy that you grew up playing Little League with and were family friends with, and you knew since the start that he'd become a professional baseball player, and he's doing it with the San Francisco Giants, and you get to, and I know I'm like dropping here, but like I'm credentialed so I could go and say hi to him on the field. You know how much like a full circle life moment that was? Because he was always the one, standing out on the field. I was just talking a lot. So, we're in our rightful places.
I'd say so. I mean,
him in Major League Baseball and me talking. Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's not like your boy Robert Turbin, but it's close.
Yeah, well, Turbin not really my boy. I don't know.
Come on.
I guess
you guys were thick as thieves, best friends.
I mean, not like that.
Squatting each other on the bench.
No. No. 225, 28 times Robert Turbin at the combine. Never forget it.
Yep. It's all because of you.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. All right. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody out there The Ernies, AJ Cruz, the Skills Report, everybody that wastes their time listening to us, thank you. Steven, we'll be back on Sunday.
Yep.
We'll review the next preseason games. And I got to find a new thing to be crazy about. Dalvin Cook's already signed. What I got to look forward to? I guess just actually games being played.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's a change of pace for me.
Yay.
Anyway, thanks again to everybody. We'll see you next time. Steven, say what you always say.
Hey. Just your opinion, man. How did I turn him into Creed?